Welcome to the Critical Coolest. I'm TheMonk, and today I'm in Wasteland 3 doing for you another build guide. Now, a little while ago I done a Blade Master build and it done very well. However, I was only mid-game at the time, so I figured I would do an updated build and show you it right at the end. This is like an end game stage. Now, of course, when it comes to all melee builds, including Brawler, Lethal Weapon is probably the best background you can possibly get. Starting weapon, like I said, this is a blade build, and attributes, this is exactly how I would start the game if I was going to make a blade build right at the beginning. I just figured I'd include it. I'm going to show you what I would do. Now, of course, coordination is so important on melee builds. I mean, it's kind of, one of the most important attributes in the entire game on any character you make, but on melee builds, it's especially important because you have to waste AP just to move in this game, just to move to get close to actually make those hits. Strength after that is so important as well. But on a melee build, it's even more important because of the melee damage bonus you get. If for maxing it, you get a 35% bonus. That's massive. And of course, you get the extra 75 points of health once you actually get it up to maxed. Intelligence, I also feel, is very important. I feel it's important on almost every single build, mainly for the crit chance. Crits in this game are very dangerous. You can end a battle on a good crit. And so for the 25% extra chance, that's 1 in 4 hits is going to be a crit. I don't really see why you wouldn't put that up. Now, you have 8 points left and you can distribute them any way you want. You could make this into a leader build. You can pump it all the way up into charisma for that leadership range. Of course, then you would put, probably medic on it as well. And of course, it's got really good strike meter that way too. You could also put it on speed, but I'm going to do a few other things to add speed to this character. Awareness, you don't need it at all. And of course, you could put it on luck, because if there's something that this character doesn't necessarily have, it is penetration. But I actually have a pretty good weapon to counteract that. And there's a few other things you can do for damage buffs as well. So what I'm going to do is actually split the difference and put 4 points onto luck and 4 points onto charisma. Now, what that 4 points onto charisma actually does is gives me a plus 10% on strike rate. Your strike in this game is really good. It works really good for melee builds as well. Kind of just, sometimes damages multiple enemies depending on which one you're using. So for skills, I've gone for max into melee. I've actually gone 6 points into Animal Whisperer. The reason I've done this is because I want the buck, which gives me a 10% melee boost as well. And I've gone for 1 in first aid. I've done 3 in mechanics. This is to help me against things like robots, vehicles, and simps. Don't forget, I don't actually have necessarily that extra penetration. So this will help me. The damage stacking really helps. And again, the same for Survivor. I've gone 6 points in it just because I want that perk, just to get those damage stacks in. And that is pretty much it for skills. I think it could be noted that weird science could be some. I mean, we got loads of points left. If you wanted to put it into something else, you could. But I think weird science would be a good one to put into. Now, of course, if I did make this into my leadership build, I would take off. Survival, and I would take off mechanics, and then I'd put those points into leadership and into medicine. And of course, you're going to need a couple of skill books as well. But it is important to note that this build works really well with weird science, especially with some of the weapons that you pick up. For quirks, I've gone for serial killer. Unfortunately, I feel that serial killer is out and out the best quirk you can get. There are a few other ones that work with different characters, but I do think serial killer is an absolute blinder. Into weapons, armor, and setup. So I've gone for the Proton Axe. Now, that is found in quite a few places late game. It is an energy weapon. Therefore, the weird science points will boost this. It gives a 30% buff to robots, vehicles, and simps, and has 99 penetration. Of course, being a melee builder, we don't really necessarily have penetration, so this is going to massively help. Again, I've got the Dorsey family sword as well. It's probably the best normal weapon you can actually get. You can obviously add poison to it and a few other different things if you were going to mod it, but it only has 19 penetration. So that's something to think about. For legs, we have gone for commando legs. This is for the combat speed. You could obviously modify it to give him more combat speed, but the 0.2 massively helps us out, so I'm happy with that. And we've also gone for the power armor chest piece for the 21 armor. You really want a lot of armor on this guy. He's going to be in the fight. But I have sacrificed a little bit of armor for the helmet, and I've gone for the Spectrum Assault helmet because I wanted him to have the 12% extra critical chance. Remember, I've spoken about critical chance in all of my videos, or a lot of them anyway. When it comes to perks, I've gone for Healthy for the extra 35%. And then I've also gone for Hardened, but that is optional. It really depends on what you want later build. I wouldn't necessarily pick that one as my second. Bleeding Strike is also a very good one to have for blading a blade build. And then Striking Distance is possibly one of the most important perks. This one isn't negotiable. I really feel like this is a must-have on this build. It gives you a 0.5 combat speed when you have 2 melee weapons equipped, which we do have, and it is a passive ability. Again, hack and slash, so attacking the same target twice in a row with a blade executes a free bonus attack. Again, it's a passive ability. Passive abilities are so important. And again, Pursuit. If you move more than 3 spaces, your next melee weapon attack has a 25% critical hit chance. Now, this is important to note that you can't move 1 and then move 2. You actually have to move the 3 spaces in one go in order to make that perk actually work. But it's really, really handy. Those passive abilities are really, really good. Animal Whisperer. So if you've gone down the route that I've gone down and you're getting the buck, for instance, Spirit Animal could be a very good perk. It basically boosts that perk that you'll get. So it'd be like 15%, I believe. Next, I've gone for Emergency Response. I feel like everyone should have at least 1 point of first aid, and Emergency Response is one of those reasons. When an ally is down in combat, you gain 1 combat speed for 2 turns. And then I've gone for Structural Weakness, which gives me an extra 20% to robots and vehicles. And Big Game Hunter as well, which gives me an extra 20% to animals and mutants. And that way we've got the damage stacking really good in Molded Flavors. Of course, if you've gone for leadership build, you won't necessarily have them, but they're what I would do if you're not. Microwave Research is such a good ability, especially as we've got the Proton Axe. So energy damage is increased by 0.5 bonus damage for every point of armor your target has. Now remember, you're going to be rushing in today. You're going to be going up against a lot of people with a lot of armor. This point, or this perk point, can really help you out. And remember, you know, if you've got that Proton Axe, I would highly recommend investing in Weird Science and Microwave Research. But anyway, this is my build. If you found this build of any help, if you've learned anything, don't forget to like or hit the like button, and then subscribe if you're not subscribed. And of course, comment your thoughts down below. What would you do differently? What did you like about this build? And how's your game going so far? Because we've all been playing for a little while now. In fact, this game's almost been out for a month, which is crazy how time flies. But how have you enjoyed your Wasteland experience? Are you a little bit too tired of the crashes? Or do you love the game in spite of the crashes? Because we all know that Wasteland 3 has its bugs and its problems. Anyway, I've been a Monk, and we've been a Critically Clueless, and I'll see you guys in the next video for more Wasteland really soon.